Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change.
I don't know why people still play tricks on April Fool's Day. Last year on April 1st, one of my co-workers played a really horrible trick on our office. He moved all the stuff on everyone's desks around, so no one could find what they were looking for. It was a total waste of time.
Earth Day is really amazing. People spend their time helping each other and nature. Last year, my book club planted flowers around the kids' playground in the park. Then we had a picnic with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. I hope we do something just as special this year.
When I was a kid, we used to surprise my mom every Mother's Day with breakfast in bed. We got up early and made a mess in the kitchen, but she always enjoyed it. At least I think she did. It was a great tradition, and we had fun cleaning up the kitchen together.
Father's Day is a special time for me. It's great because I get to spend the whole day with my family. Last year, our whole family got together for a big dinner. They made my favorite meal, spaghetti and meatballs, and we had ice cream for dessert. We're all big talkers, so everyone had funny stories to tell.
I don't look forward to New Year's Eve. Those parties are the worst. There's way too much food, and you end up eating too much and staying up too late, and you feel terrible the next day. And the noise. Last year, the people next door had a huge, noisy party that went on till 5 in the morning.
Good afternoon. Dr. Carla Shapiro, A gastrointestinal specialist is with us today to talk about digestive problems. Welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
It seems that many people have digestive issues. Can you tell us about one of the common issues that you see?
I would say that lactose intolerance is a very big problem for many people. This means that people are unable to digest dairy products such as milk and ice cream.
Why does this happen?
All babies have a special substance called lactase, which helps to break down the sugar in milk so the body can use it for energy. However, research has discovered that in some people, lactase production slowly decreases. So, when these individuals consume dairy products, they experience digestive problems such as bloating, stomach aches, and diarrhea.
What percentage of the world is lactose intolerant?
Actually, research has shown that about 68% of the world's population has some degree of lactose intolerance. People in Northern Europe do not suffer as commonly from this problem as, say, someone from Eastern Asia.
So why do some regions have this condition and others don't?
Recent research has indicated that over 5,000 years ago, when some cultures started farming rather than hunting for food, those that raised cows, sheep, and goats seemed to develop this ability to consume dairy products. Perhaps they began to rely on animal milk to fight famine.
So over time, these people could drink milk as adults?
Yes, that is what research shows. In fact, scientists believe cultures that started to use animal milk kept the ability to break down lactose, and over time, it changed their gene structure.
So this is seen in all European cultures?
Mostly. But some groups in Ethiopia and Kenya and a few other places also have this ability, because these groups began to farm and raise animals, especially cows and goats.
So some people can eat dairy products and others have to avoid them?
Yes, that is right. However, this intolerance can happen at any time. For example, even in European countries, we see young patients who are unable to digest milk.
So what alternatives are available for those people who are lactose intolerant?
There are different types of dairy-free milk products available, like soya, almond, and rice. Also, the food industry has introduced many lactose-free products, so people can still enjoy a lactose-free version of ice cream. There's also a tablet that you can take to help break down lactose. This can help some people.
Well, our time is up for today. I would like to thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Shapiro.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Many people say that they are working too many hours. They don't have enough time with their families. They can't take care of things at home. They don't have time to relax. Work hours vary from one country to another. In France, people spend about 1,646 hours a year at work. In Japan, however, people work about 2,159 hours a year. That means a Japanese employee works 513 more hours a year than a French employee. That is more than 12 weeks or 3 months of extra work. Why do people work so many hours? Some people work extra hours because they want to earn more money. However, many companies don't pay overtime. Their employees don't get extra pay for extra work. These people work extra hours because they think it's their duty. Some people are afraid they will lose their job if they don't work extra hours. Many people say that their vacations are too short. In France, people get 5 weeks of paid vacation. In Germany, they get from 4 to 6 weeks. In the United States, 2 weeks of vacation is the average. Many people don't even use all of their vacation days. In one study in Great Britain, fewer than half of all workers used all their vacation days. In English, people say, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." If that is true, there are a lot of dull people in the world.
Today, I'm going to show you a simple science experiment that you can try at home to learn about density. Start by taking an empty glass and tip in some water and food colouring. Then add some syrup or treacle. And I'm going to add a little bit more water to make the layer a bit thicker. Then finally, fill the glass up with some oil and leave it to settle for about 15 minutes. These liquids separate out into different layers because they're different densities and they don't mix. The syrup has the highest density, so it sits on the bottom, and the oil, which has the lowest density, rises to the top. Try dropping different objects in to see what happens. If we drop this metal nut in, which is really dense, you can see it sinks right to the bottom. But if I take this grape and drop it in, it sinks through the oil and water, but sits on the syrup. This is because the syrup is denser than the grape. Pretty cool, huh? Now if I take this plastic bottle top and drop it in, it slowly sinks through the oil and sits on the water. And finally, if I take this piece of sponge and drop it in, it sits on top. The oil is denser than the sponge. You can try dropping different objects in to see which fluids are denser. I also found shining a torch beam down from above gives a really nice effect.
If you've never heard that food science was a potential major or that you could one day be a food scientist as a career, let me quick fill you in because it's only going to take a minute or two. Now, food scientists are involved in the food supply at every step. They are thinking about what's the best way to grow the food and the most efficient way to harvest that food. The next step is how do you transport that and store it? Does it need to go to a factory? Maybe once at the factory, does it need to be processed in some way? How can we make sure this food stays safe and does not hurt the consumer? And of course, food scientists work on making that raw material into different food products and packaging it up and getting it out onto the grocery store shelf. Everything you see at the grocery store has been touched by a food scientist in some way. So I guess more simply put, food science is what happens to food before it gets into the consumer's mouth. Food science as a scientific discipline requires knowledge from a lot of other sciences. So you'll have to be good with chemistry and biochemistry, biology and microbiology, physics and engineering, just to name a few. And I know you might be wondering, well, what science is there behind our food anyways? But food science is happening around you each and every day. You've probably just never noticed it. So let me give you a couple of examples. So when you cut an apple into slices and later see that it browns, this is actually an enzymatic reaction. Or when you use sugar and you heat it up and you see it start to turn brown, it starts caramelizing, this is a chemical reaction. Food scientists think about how to prevent food waste and make the food supply more sustainable, which explains why we turn something like liquid milk, which has a very short shelf life, into a lot of other foods like cheese and yogurt that have a much longer shelf life. Food scientists also work to invent new food products or create new flavors. For example, turning this regular chocolate bar into an Oreo flavored chocolate bar. But the number one goal of every food scientist is to make sure that the food supply is safe for everyone to eat. So if you enjoy science and you're interested in food, a career in food science might be just the right fit for you.
The internet lets you do many other things, even make new friends. It can get infected with viruses, which can harm your computer. So be very careful. Here's how you can stay safe and enjoy the internet. Before using the internet, always ask an adult if the computer has a firewall and antivirus working. Together, they protect your computer against many different kinds of viruses that attack our computer and steal our data. Remember, if you are using email, always keep your email password a secret. Make sure no one sees it, not even your friends. Let only your parents know your password. Avoid saving your password on any computer or mobile phone. Email is great to keep in touch with friends, but remember to log out or shut down every time you're done. It's also important to know that you should not click any links or ads in your email or internet. Always ask an adult before doing so. These may contain viruses. With your regular studies, the internet is a great tool to learn and be smart. If you don't have a computer at home, cyber cafes can help you log on to the internet where you can play games or watch videos. But here also, never click on links or any pop-ups. Always take the supervisor's help. Many movies are not made for children. Similarly, there's a lot of content on the internet that you should stay away from. Always alert your parents if you or your friends come across anything violent or for adults. You may also be using social networks like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Musical.ly to chat with friends and make new ones.
We're sharing the 10 most popular hobbies enjoyed around the world. 1. Reading. If your idea of a fun Friday night is cozying up with a book, you're certainly not alone. Reading is enjoyed worldwide. It's accessible due to the fact that it's inexpensive or free, and it allows people to explore new and exciting worlds and expand their knowledge. 2. Traveling. Whether it's a trip across the ocean or exploring the next town over, traveling is an exciting hobby virtually anyone can participate in. From the planning stage to the trip itself, traveling gives folks something to look forward to, along with a brief escape from reality. Plus, the memories last a lifetime. 3. Fishing. If you need a break from the daily grind, unwind with a fishing trip. Whether you're fishing for food or just for fun, the hobby is a great way to relax and enjoy nature. There are many different types of fishing, making the hobby accessible in most places. If you're looking for a challenge, try ice fishing or fishing on a stand-up paddleboard. 4. Crafts. Creativity is universal, and so is the art of crafting. There are many avenues crafters can take, from knitting and crochet to paper crafts and beading. The internet has opened up a whole new world to craft enthusiasts everywhere. If supplies can't be found locally, they can easily be found online. Craft websites and message boards offer inspiration when creativity is running low. 5. Television. One of the most popular hobbies worldwide is television. The hobby has changed dramatically in recent years. Many networks offer endless on-demand viewing options, and because watching television doesn't require much effort, it's an activity that many people partake in daily. 6. Bird watching. This hobby continues to grow in popularity, thanks to the fact that virtually anyone can participate. Bird watching, otherwise known as birding, doesn't require much equipment. The hobby draws people young and old, making it an excellent intergenerational activity. 7. Collecting. There's comfort in being surrounded by the things we love, which is one reason why collecting is such a popular activity. From stamps and coins to action figures and dolls, there are countless collecting options. 8. Music. Played, heard, and loved worldwide, music brings people together. Whether it's listening at home or taking in a concert, music can be enjoyed anywhere. 9. Gardening. Many people work in the garden to produce food, while others appreciate that it passes the time and offers a sense of accomplishment. Some folks enjoy giving others food from their gardens, and others sell produce for extra cash. 10. Video games. Sure, video games get a bad rap, but let's face it, people love them. There are games to suit virtually any personality and preference. Online gaming allows gamers to connect with others online.
Windsor Castle, just one of Her Majesty's palaces currently being guarded by the Queen's Gurkha engineers. Gurkhas haven't been seen providing the Queen's Guard since 2015, when they did it to mark 200 years of service to the British Crown. Preparations for the role are intense. One squadron are currently honing their skills on the parade square in Aldershot ahead of taking over in May.
So in London we'll have responsibility for Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace and the Tower of London, but we'll also be doing duties at Windsor Castle as well.
The squadron can be nothing less than perfect, and it takes time to adapt to the different commands.
Day one it was a bit of loads of information. Drill is hard. It's all about discipline. Putting yourself into discipline and putting everyone into discipline. As a drill instructor, that's our main thing. So putting everyone, do everything together. So yeah, we are getting there.
The Gurkhas are introducing some of their traditions to the ceremonial role. Each one will carry a kukri on parade instead of a bayonet. Well, these soldiers are looking pretty sharp at the moment, but they aren't good enough yet. And in all fairness, they're only 2 weeks into their training. They've got until the 2nd of May to get it right. That's when they have to go to Wellington Barracks for an inspection by the General Officer Commanding London District, who'll say whether they're up to the job or not. With 5 weeks to go, they seem to be on track.
I know it's hard work, drill is not easy, because just looking at it from outside, when you're not doing anything, it looks very easy, but when it comes to it, it's hard. But the thing is, as a soldier, you have to keep calm and carry on, I would say.
And what about your family? What did they say when they heard you'd be doing this?
They are really proud of me because I used to tell them that I will be joining the British Army and will guard the Queen's Elizabeth II. So now here I am. So they are feeling really proud and they say, "Well done, my son."
All being well, they'll be guard mounting at Buckingham Palace for the first time on May the 5th.
Sports news.
Nepal and Bangladesh will clash in the finals of the Three Nations Cup football tournament today. Nepal has not scored any goals in the ongoing tournament yet. Team Nepal, which had settled for a goalless stalemate against Kyrgyzstan in its first match of the tournament, also had to satisfy with a goalless draw against Bangladesh on Saturday. However, managed to reach the finals. Bangladesh hasn't been able to score any goals in the tournament either. Bangladesh registered a solitary goal win over Kyrgyzstan through an own goal by a Kyrgyz player. Speaking at the pre-match conference yesterday, coach of Team Nepal, Balgopal Maharjan, said the team will try to end its goal drought and lift the title today. The title decider is scheduled to kick off at 5:30 this evening at Dashrath Stadium in the capital's Tripureshwar.
Here's the 7 mentalities that we can learn from an eagle. Number 1. Eagles fly alone at high altitude. Eagles don't fly with sparrows, ravens, and other small birds, meaning stay away from narrow-minded people, those that bring you down. Eagles fly with eagles. There's a saying that goes like this: people you hang around will eventually determine the person you become. Keep good company. Number 2, eagles have vision. They have the ability to focus on something as far as 5 kilometers away. No matter what the obstacles, the eagle will not move his focus from the prey until he grabs it. Meaning, have a vision and remain focused in your life. No matter what the obstacles and challenges you may face, don't give up and you will succeed. Number 3, eagles are fearless. An eagle will never surrender to the size or strength of its prey. It will always give a fight to win its prey or regain its territory, meaning no matter what the size or big your problems are, don't give up. Instead, face it. Successful people are fearless. They face problems head on. Number 4, eagles are tenacious. Eagles love storm. When clouds gather, the eagles get excited. The eagles use the storm wind to lift themselves higher. Once it finds the wind of the storm, the eagles use the raging storm to lift itself above the clouds. This gives the eagle the opportunity to glide and rest its wings. In the meantime, all the other birds hide in the branches and leaves of the tree, meaning achievers are not afraid of challenges. Rather, they relish in them and use them for profitability. Number 5, eagles never eat dead things. Eagles never eat dead meat. In other words, an eagle does not scavenge. It only eats the meat from the prey it kills itself. Meaning, Do not rely on your past success. Keep looking for new frontiers to conquer. Leave your past where it belongs, in the past.
The Pan American Highway is a network of roads stretching from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, to Ushuaia, Argentina, a distance of around 48,000 kilometers, 30,000 miles. According to Guinness World Records, the Pan American Highway is the world's longest motorable road. However, it is not readily possible to drive all the way since the route is interrupted by the 160-kilometer-wide Darien Gap between Central and South America. The highway consists of both official and unofficial elements. The official section runs from Nuevo Laredo, Mexico on the U.S. border to Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. However, there are extensive unofficial sections to both the north and south of this. The route runs through 14 countries: the United States, Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina. In the process, it passes through all the major climate zones and many varied landscapes including Arctic tundra, boreal forest, mountains, prairies, arid deserts and tropical jungles.
A new report from the World Wildlife Fund says that we may need to overhaul the way that we get food in order to save the planet. Ian Lee has more on their findings.
From the savannah to the sea, the world's wildlife is under threat. Everything from big game animals and birds to our favorite fish have had their populations decline nearly 70% in the past 50 years. The World Wildlife Fund released the report.
When we see this decline in wildlife, that we're really seeing an indicator of decline in the overall planet that we call home.
The organization monitored nearly 21,000 different species. It says the destruction of habitats, like rainforests, is one of the biggest culprits.
How we grow food around the world is the biggest driver of decline for terrestrial species that live in forests or grasslands.
Agriculture is to blame for up to 80% of the global deforestation. To help stop the trend, experts say we only need to look as far as our kitchen.
There are clearly decisions that each of us can make in terms of what we eat, what we buy, how we use energy, a lot of choices that we make that do ripple through the system.
By living a more sustainable life, we can preserve our natural wonders and the animals that live there for future generations. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
1. How was your flight?
Oh, it was great. My flight was overbooked, and the airline asked for volunteers to go on a later flight. I volunteered because the next flight was only an hour later, and the airline gave me $300. It pays to be bumped.
2.
Did you have a good flight?
Ugh, no, it was terrible.
Oh no, why?
The flight was fully booked, so every seat was taken. I was crammed between this guy who was snoring the whole time and a really messy kid who got his chips all over me. I couldn't wait for it to be over.
3. Did you have any trouble finding the house?
No, not at all. We used the GPS, but it sure was a long drive.
Did you stop anywhere?
Yeah, we stopped at a rest stop about halfway here to get a cold drink and stretch our legs. It was really hot out, and there were a ton of people there. I guess it was a good weekend for road trips.
4. How was the drive?
It was okay.
Really? You look worn out.
Well, I guess we are pretty exhausted. It was so hot out, and the air conditioning broke an hour into the trip. We stopped at the halfway mark to switch drivers and eat lunch. Then we had trouble starting the car.
5. Did you enjoy the ride?
Oh, it was great. It was nice to just relax and not have to worry about driving. I read my book and did Sudoku puzzles the whole way. And I met some really nice people too. They were on their way to Boston too. I don't know why I've never taken the train before.
6.
How was the trip?
Pretty good, I guess. I don't really know because I was asleep the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. I started reading a book, but then I fell asleep and didn't wake up until 10 minutes after my stop. I had to get off the train and get on another one going the other direction. I'll have to set the alarm on my phone next time.
Hey, Emma, I can't find my friend.
Don't worry. What does she look like?
She's thin and tall.
Anything else? Eyes? Hair?
Her eyes are brown. She has long pink curly hair. Her face is very beautiful.
Do you know what kind of clothes she's wearing today?
She's wearing a yellow dress and white sporty shoes.
Okay. I'll try to help you find her.
Thank you so much. She's very friendly and has a nice smile.
Oh, look. Is that girl across the street your friend?
Wow. Yes, that's her. Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome. Just go and get her.
Every single one of you has something that you're good at. Every single one of you has something to offer. And you have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. My father left my family when I was 2 years old. And I was raised by a single mom who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the bills and wasn't always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school. And I did some things that I'm not proud of. And I got in more trouble than I should have. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worse. But I was lucky. I got a lot of second chances. And I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dreams. My wife, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents had gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money. But they worked hard, and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. Some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have adults in your life who give you the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job, and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe, or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know aren't right. There is no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. No one's written your destiny for you. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to it. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without any hard work. That your ticket to success is through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not going to be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. And you won't necessarily succeed at everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed."
Hey Bob, guess what? I'm going to visit Quebec next summer. I have to go to a friend's wedding, but I also want to stay a while longer and do some sightseeing.
That's great, Dave. But do you mean the province of Quebec or Quebec City?
I guess I mean the province. The wedding is in Montreal, so I'm going there first. I'll be there for about 4 days. Montreal is the capital of the province, right?
Well, a lot of people think so because it's the biggest city, but it's not actually the capital. Quebec City is the capital. But Montreal is great. The St. Lawrence River runs right through the middle of the city. It's beautiful in the winter.
Wow. And do you think I can get by in English? My French is okay, but not great. I know most people there speak French, but can I also use English?
Well, people speak both French and English there, but you'll hear French most of the time, and all of the street signs are in French. In fact, Montreal is the third largest French-speaking city in the world. So you'd better practice your French before you go.
Oh, that's good advice. Now what about Quebec City? I'm going to visit a friend from college who lives there now. What's it like?
It's a beautiful city, very old. A lot of old buildings have been nicely restored. Some of them were built in the 17th and 18th centuries. You'll love it there.
Great. I can't wait to go.
Welcome to Film World Cinemas. For film information and times, press 1. To make a booking, press 2. To speak to an operator, press 3. These are the films for today, Tuesday the 7th. Please note that ticket prices are €5 for adults and €3.50 for children under 14. On screen 1, Don't Open the Door. A group of college students decide to rent a house in the mountains for a relaxing weekend break, but they aren't the only guests on the mountain. One by one they start to disappear. Who or what is outside the house? Showing at 4:30, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Screen 2, Ships in the Night. Maggie splits up with her boyfriend and decides to take a holiday on a cruise ship to help her forget him. Tony is a waiter on the ship, and he is very unhappy when his girlfriend leaves him to marry the captain. Together they find a way to forget their problems. Showing at 5 o'clock, 7:45 and 10:15. Screen 3, Street Match, The Return. The second film of French director Jean-Luc Ducroix. Two American teenagers buy an old car, and with a lot of hard work, and after a lot of problems, they enter their car into the street match competition. But, is their car good enough to win? Showing at 5:50, 8:30 and 11:45. Screen 4, Lulu, It's a Dog's Life. This lovable little dog decides to leave home to look for fame and fortune in the big city. But after a series of hilarious events, he realizes that life in the country isn't so bad after all. From the makers of Shrek and Shark Tale, this is fun for all the family. Showing at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock and 8:45.